Okie dokie. Hi there, everyone. How are we all? Okay, hopefully you can all hear me. Apologies for being a couple of minutes late, or a little bit late actually. Technical issues. Files and things. Sorry, files and things that I thought were in a particular place have disappeared, so I think I've got myself back on track now. So as long as you can hear me, then we are all good. So let's just check. We've got a few of us with me now. So we've got, hi Bonnie, how are you? Oh, no worries. It's nice to come to you on a Friday, not a Friday, I'm wishing the week away, on a Tuesday afternoon. It gives me a good chance to actually sit down and actually make something. My weeks are so busy at the moment. I'm rushing here, there and everywhere. So it's a nice chance to sit down. So I'm just checking. Loud and clear. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Kathy. That's what I was waiting to see, that you can hear me and see me. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, so we have Lorraine and Chris with us, and oh, who's that from Kings Mountain? NC. NC. You might have to let me know where that is. NC. I can't think where that would be. But it's lovely to have you here. And we have, hi Helen, how are you? And Marion and Jill, Kathy, Andrea, Carol as well. Hello everybody. Right, let's get going. Right, today what I thought I'd do, there's not so much stenciling today. I don't think the Ultimate is going to come out at all, but I will get my messing out in a minute. But because what I'm actually using today, you can see on the side here that I'm actually using the pick of the week. So finally we have the metallic inks are all available individually. So whereas before on their launch we were able to buy them as a bundle, they are now available on Lisa's website. You would have got an email yesterday morning, Monday morning, giving you the option to click straight through and shop the pick of the week, where you'd see all the metallic inks available individually, and something that I know you have all been waiting for also, are the fundamental dies. Each of these sets are also available individually now, which is great. So you can pick and choose, or you can build your, even if you want them all, you can build up your collection sort of monthly or as and when you feel like you need the next set. So that is great news, and they're all on at a great price. I think all the fundamentals are on at £19.99 at the moment, and the ink pads available individually are available at £7.99 each. So it's a great pick of the week, and I'm pretty sure that many of you will make good use of that offer. Alongside that, or alongside those two items, so I've got the fundamental arches there. I shall get my inks out in a moment. I should be using the Spring Flowers and Petals. It's another new release, mainly because I've had this little lot die cut and ready and sitting on my desk since the last live that I'd done with you when I die cut them all. So I haven't put them away. I don't know why. Other things sort of taken over, and I didn't want to sort of put them in the envelope and risk sort of scrunching them up. So they've been sitting on my desk ready to be used. But so I thought today would be a really good idea to use those. So I have those ready and die cut, and I shall probably enhance some of those with a bit of the metallic ink as well. So I won't be using the Ultimate, but I will be getting messy today. I have a feeling my fingers are not going to look as clean by the end of this hour or so. So it's the Spring Petals. Again, it comes in an A6 set, but you get an awful lot of dye for your money there. So I've put mine onto a magnetic sheet, but you get all the dyes. They come tabbed. I've untabbed some of them, but the way that I've grouped it is I've snipped them into two, so they would actually come tabbed and they come as one unit. I think pretty much, is it that way? Yeah, it'd be pretty much this way. Oh yeah, there we go. They tab in together like that. So what I've done is, oh yeah, I'm just getting distracted now. They actually come tabbed like that. So I've separated them mainly to separate them into the floral dyes and then into the foliage dyes. You could keep them all together, but I know that when I die cut this collection of dyes, I can die cut them onto a green or my foliage colour, and then I can die cut this section of the dyes onto the flower colour, so the petals, so I can put them through as pinks and greens and pinks, yellows, etc. Or you can untab them all individually. The stems come apart and they all be available individually. The flowers are not, they are actually on a solid plate. So again, that gives you the good a good guide as to how to tab and remove this section away. So that is the Spring Flowers, Petals and Stems. And also I'm using the Set the Scene garden scenery. This is still on Lisa's website. It's limited stock, but I'm sure many of you will have this already because you would have seen Tina in particular uses this set brilliantly. She uses, I shall show you the dyes on this quickly as well. You get a lot for your money in this one. You get that lovely, really useful garden fence set, which can be used for anything. It's a really nice accessory when you're just sort of looking for something, particularly on perhaps rustic cards and whatever. A fence, I don't know, it's just a really good staple to have, and that's a lovely one to have. I'm using this for the grass that is sitting here, so that's this dye here. So I'm using it for that, but you get the dyes that allow you to create the trees. So you can see these sort of cloud shaped ones have been die cut and added or represented by Lisa as the tree canopy, but die cut them in white and you get clouds. And they say I'm going to do a version of a rainbow card today, and when the design team samples came out, Tina done a rainbow card with the arches actually, and so the one I'm making today is slightly different, but she attached the these dies, die cut in white as clouds to the bottom of the rainbows, and it's so cute. So if you just type Tina Foster into Lisa Horton Crafts Facebook group, you should see that card come up. But this is a really nice set. Again, you get a lot for your money in this one. And I'm just using the grass from there, and I'm using the Tatty words as a sentiment at the end as well. Okay, so I've done most of my die cutting already, I think. So if I bring in the arches here, what I've done so far, I have die cut each size of arch available here. So we get seven dies in the fundamental set, and I think that's pretty standard across the fundamentals collection. I think Lisa, where she can and where design and sort of packaging would permit, I think there are seven dies. So you can see they range from a lovely large size, which is ideal to make a card from if you were to make a small card blank, right down to the smallest arch. They nest together, as you can see with the dies here. So I've already die cut them, but what my thinking is today, I'm going to be stacking these, not in this sense. I'm going to be die cutting them into them again, but I'm going to be colouring these as we go along with the new metallic inks, and then forming a rainbow. So I'm going to bring in my messy mat to start with, so I know I am going to get super mucky by the end of this. So it's not my usual style of crafting actually, but I think the end product is, I am sort of aiming for a clean and simple card. But the clean and simple cards are anything but when you're actually making them. Quite a lot goes into a clean and simple card actually, but if say done right, I think they are super sophisticated. Now bear with me, I'm just bending over there, so I'm bringing in my inks. I've got my inks, I think it was last Thursday, wasn't it? They were delivered literally just before my last live, and I haven't had a chance to play. Now this is how I swatch my inks out. I know there are downloadable swatchable files made by the lovely Paola that you can use. For me to print, I need to bring it up on the computer, go upstairs, and basically I'm just too lazy to do that, especially when I want to get going. Eventually I will do that, but I just wanted to sort of get going with these, and because I store them in these little trays which go into a storage unit, it's easier for me just to sort of get the A4 sheet out. I put the score lines in, so I get oh, you can see there the score lines, so I get 12 squares, and I just swatch away. So you can see just how lovely that metallic is on there. So it'll be fun actually to start using these. I've swatched these out with brushes, so I've already got all my brushes, my chunky brushes, and I've labelled them all, so I've got one brush for that. But I'm going to interchange possibly between the brushes and the sponges, just to see how well or what the best way to cover the cardstock is. Now they're the inks I'm going to use. I'm going to put, obviously, so I'm going to put them to one side. Now, creating a rainbow, there is obviously 7 colours in a rainbow, and I did have to prompt myself. So I've written down the colours of the rainbow, and then I've written down the colours that correspond along the side, just so as I know where I'm going and how to construct the rainbow, because I know when I'm chatting to you, you know what I'm like. I'm notorious for forgetting certain things, usually embossing. But I'm not going to be doing any embossing today, so I just needed to get my my colour order all in order for me. So let's get going. Let's say we're going to get quite mucky, and so this is what I'm following, so I hopefully won't lose my way. Now I am only actually going to be using 6 colours in the rainbow, not the blue. Indigo and violet are very similar, and I think you can forgive me to, you know, for just using 6 colours there. So we have 7 dies. I won't use the largest one. I will put that aside and I can keep that for another project. So I'm basically going to work in size order. The largest die cut will be the pink, the top one, and then I'm going to come down in order, sort of decrease in size with the die cut. So if that makes sense to you, I'm going to leave that there. I shall bring that into view again a little bit later actually, so if that is helpful to you, then you can perhaps take a copy of that down as well. So first colour, Lovestruck. So to create the rainbow, the idea is that I'm going to actually nest the arches together the same way as you see them sitting here. So that's going to mean that I'm going to colour a section of the arch, and then I'm going to bring in the die cut and actually die cut that so I get the arch. So you'll see as we go along that I'll get into the flow of these things. So I'm going to bring in my brush, I'm going to bring in my ink, and I'm going to start colouring. So I'm using Lisa's Super Smooth. You could use a textured cardstock, that would look lovely. You could also create this type of card with the interference inks. Now, as anticipated, I think I'm using the brush there, and the brush is perfect for the blending, and I'm going to definitely use these inks with the brushes through my stencils. But I think because I want to colour, I'm not worried about graduation. I literally just want to put colour down onto the card. I'm actually going to use my blending sponges. Now I use these blocks that I've made myself. I find them easier for me, the way that I hold for my hands, but basically you'll be probably more familiar with this type of blending tool, and you get them in this type of pack from Lisa. So you get your blending tools, the ones that you hold, they have Velcro on there, and you can remove and replace and allocate a piece of blending sponge per colour. So but you can just see, I mean, this is basically the same thing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick up the ink, and I think it's actually going to be far easier for me to blend the colour onto the cardstock using these sponges. So yeah, you can see I'm actually moving a lot quicker and blending that ink a lot quicker with those sponges. Now, because I'm using these sponges for the first time, they just needed to get primed a little bit. So once you're actually laden up with ink, and you can see the difference now. If I bring in the next one, it doesn't take long for the sponge to get saturated, but you know, don't be shy with the amount of ink that you're using. And what you can see that I'm doing is I'm just following the shape of the arch and just going around with all this ink. Now you will need a messy mat or something that you don't mind getting all your ink onto underneath. If you were to do this at home, you would then mop up all of this extra ink afterwards with a little bit of water and some perhaps watercolour cardstock, and make some backgrounds as you go. But I shan't be doing that today. Now I'm just going to do around the arch like that. I don't need to do the bottom, because just to make the rainbow work, I will actually be trimming down all of these die cuts. But in doing this, you can see that if you wanted to create yourself mats and layers, or you didn't have any metallic cardstock or paper for yourself in your stash, you can actually create the you can actually create a background for yourself. So if you were to carry on with the blending and cover this, you'd actually end up with a nice piece of metallic paper or backing that can correspond and coordinate really nicely with the rest of your project. Now, the other way that you can also do this, you can have the direct paper to technique, direct to paper technique. So you can actually take your ink pad, and actually this is going on even quicker, so I might actually do this and actually use your ink pad to colour your die cut directly. And I think actually that way you end up with a better metallic sheen. So I think what I might do, I'm actually going to do that. Yeah, there we go. And you end up actually putting down more ink onto your cardstock than you do with the sponge. And that way you could possibly see now, it's really hard to get that sheen, and you'll possibly see it better as it dries. That one there, oh, there you go, you can catch that sheen on the orange there. You're putting down a lot of ink at the all at once, so the concentration of the colour really does pop forward. Now again, many of you might want to just close your eyes to me wiping this ink away. It's an ideal technique if you're gonna do this type of card. Then you can sort of spend the afternoon creating these messy techniques, all of these messy backgrounds, and then you have yourself an awful lot of die cuts to play with afterwards. So I think actually what I'm going to do, and it's going to be an awful lot quicker, I'm going to colour my die cuts and go directly to the paper like so. Again, I don't need to do the whole pad because I will actually be die cutting this. So if you imagine that when this arch sits on here, by the time I've die cut this, you can see that I've already covered the area that I need, so we really don't need to worry about what's on the inside. Okay. Oh, hi Rebecca. No worries. Take away from Year in Bloom. I got my Year in Bloom sets through yesterday, so I'm going to have a chance to do that hopefully this week. I'm actually away next week, so I don't know what chance I'll get to craft for the rest of the week with the packing, but yeah, I think everybody's going to really enjoy having that Year in Bloom. And it's going to be nice to craft with just embossing folders. There'll be lots of different techniques coming out, say lots of inky techniques coming out then as well. So we've got all your matte blending inks obviously that we can use, which are the original inks that were launched, but now with all these lovely colours and speciality inks coming out as well, there's going to be so many techniques, especially onto different coloured cardstock. So yeah, once the Year in Bloom samples start hitting the group, then it'll be fabulous. There'll be so much to do. Okay. Right, you can probably hear that I'm actually concentrating as I go along, so it actually comes together really quick. So I'm on to the last one, the smallest of the rainbow, and that's the Ultraviolet there. And you can see just how juicy these ink pads are. And I'm just putting those to one side to dry. Now, if you do look up Tina's sample in the group, it's very pale, very soft, gorgeous sample actually. I really like it, but this one isn't. This one is going to be super bold, so these inks, if you're going to do this, will be perfect for kids cards as well. You know, you always like to go sort of really bright and colourful. Imagine using perhaps some of your polka dot embossing folders and highlighting them with these really bright colours. They'd be really sort of, again, ideal for children's cards. You could die cut little small circles, tiny little circles, and then colour them with the inks, and then create your own polka dot card as well in these bright primary colours. You can either do a mix of colours, or you can just choose one or two colours, and you know they're so bright. They're so bright. You know, I think you'll have a lot of fun. They add a whole different element to sort of Lisa Horton crafts. Basically, we're so used to the florals where we make it sort of very nature based, or we go very pale and pretty with them, but this is sort of really bold and in your face, and you can see hopefully there you go, just got a flash of that sort of metallic. There you go, you can see just how lovely those colors are. And this is my first time actually crafting with them then, and I think Lisa's probably most proud of the yellow. I mean, she's absolutely right, we really don't sort of celebrate yellow enough, and it's really not one of those colors that is used for specialty inks, but it really works in this color. Right, so what I need to do now is start die cutting these into their respective arches. So what I need to do, let me think. So the indigo colour is the smallest of the die cuts, so I won't be able to die cut that one. So what I need to do is to make sure that this is fully covered in that final colour. Okay, so let's do that. So being the smallest one, that was quite easy to do that. So let's get rid of that ink now. So I'm not very good at messy crafting. I do get myself in such a pickle, and I've just gone and lost my, there it is. Move that away like that. So I'm trying my very best not to get inky fingers all over sort of white cardstock and things. Okay, so I leave that to dry. That is going to be the final part of the rainbow. So now I can layer and start creating the arches. So basically what you're doing, you're creating frames with these nesting dies. So the die cut that I've got here, I just take the next size down, and that is going to give me the frame for this. So I need to get myself a piece of tape. There we are. Just so as I can make sure that that die doesn't slip in the die cutting machine. Now this one actually is small enough that I can use my desktop machine, so I don't need to get up, so I can bring that on here. Okay, and make sure that's lined up. I can die cut that one through. So we have frame one, and that's going to sit in there. I think this sort of style would be nice if you graduated the colours as well. Perhaps if you chose pinks and purples, and if you incorporated all your other inks, your interference inks and your metallics and the matte blending, and you have a nice graduation from purple to pink or greens to blues, then I think this style of card would actually work really well as well, and it would look really, really stylish. So I'm going to line this one up again exactly the same way. I'm just going to work through all of the die cuts here and use the die, which is the next size down, to die cut a frame or die cut an aperture into these basically. So I mean, what you could do, I mean, you can keep these, you can again go back in with an ink pad, colour them fully, and you have another potential rainbow that you can layer up in a different way, or they are ideal backgrounds or tags to use on other projects. So let's keep myself organised. Actually, I should do that, and then I should use my next die down and die cut into the yellow. So I think after this one I'm going to have to go to the larger machine, and that's, I think, the largest size that I can use on this desktop, this small die cutter machine. Okay, There we go, you can see that come in together. And take my piece of tape. My fingers are perhaps not as mucky as I thought they would be, I have to admit. Okay, so orange next. I've already got a bit of tape on there. So actually what I might do, I might be able to die cut these two together because I'm using the larger machine. So make sure that that's tagged down there, and I shall use the next die up again and die cut this pink. Okay, I'm actually really looking forward to using these inks through stencils as well, and actually highlighting and picking out areas on the floral designs through the floral stencils, and you know, sort of highlighting them with the metallic ink against the matte blending. I think you can create some really stunning looks like that. So that's definitely something that I'm will be bringing to one of the lives for you. So if you just bear with me, I'll just disappear so I can die cut these two. Now I am still using my original die cutting machine. I have the Sizzix here, the Sizzix Big Shot. So looking forward to getting Lisa's one soon. I think if I read the comments right in the group, it's the 17th, which is the day that the die cutting machine is launching. I'm not sure what day that is actually. 17th. It might be a Monday. It might be Monday. Okay. So that's these areas. Okay, here we go. Your Gemini doesn't give a good emboss. I'm pretty sure Lisa's machine will. If Lisa's had anything to do with it, and I know that the design process, when she would have been testing it and testing out prototypes, and if it wasn't working right, she would have definitely got that sorted. You know, considering that Lisa is known for her amazing embossing folders, I think she will definitely make sure that her machine is going to be the best at embossing. I would put money on that. So I've not had hands on it. I've seen as much as you've seen, but I would be pretty sure that she is super happy with the embossing. Okay, so now we have our arches. And I think what I might do, just to secure things, this is the largest arch, and I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this down to be the size of my largest arch here, the pink, and then use this as a base to stick all the other arches down onto. So bear with me, I'm just going to cut this one down. Okay, because I want to make sure that I take off the bottom of all of these arches, just to make sure I get the proper rainbow shape. I want to make sure that I stick everything down onto its own separate piece. So then I've basically got my own separate sort of rainbow embellishment to put directly onto the card. So now I can start sticking these down and actually constructing the rainbow. So hopefully you don't mind watching. It's nice to see these things from start to finish, just to show you all the different stages. I think sometimes it's not always as straightforward, and I know I look at some cards and sometimes I think, just how on earth did you do that? And then I watch the process and I think, oh yeah, it's as straightforward as that. Sometimes you can overcomplicate things. So Okay, actually these inks dry really, really quick, don't they? I've put so much ink on to the cardstock, as you saw, because it's direct from the ink pad, but they dried pretty quick. I know I put them to one side while I carried on and done the rest of the different layers, and then come back in and done the die cutting, but for the intensity of the colour that we've got, and I'm really impressed with the speed that they dry, which actually makes them really nice to work with, because I mean I have used other metallic inks. I was put off them basically, other metallic inks, because they would take so long to dry. You'd end up smudging them. You'd never get quite the look that you was hoping to get from them. So yeah, I was definitely put off. But you can see, I mean, yeah, my hands are a little bit mucky. They are going to be, but I mean, you're watching this in real time, and those inks have dried in a really nice workable time, I would say. They are open enough, as in wet enough, to allow you to use them and manipulate and spread and blend with them, but they don't stay wet too long that they say become a hindrance and start sort of bleeding and muddying into other colours. Now it's interesting here, I've got to this stage. Now imagine if I'd actually done all the proper colours here. That in itself, even if I just stopped there, how lovely is that? That could be a really nice embellishment straight onto a card, or a really nice frame. You could just put a sentiment straight into that. I mean, let me think, I haven't quite got one that's suitable to go in, I don't think. I've already die cut one that I'm going to use later. But if you wanted just a simple card, now this works great with the arches, but imagine any of the other fundamentals that you have. Now this is me going off on a tangent and just sort of imagining things as I go, but you imagine doing it with these, and even this frame, this isn't a fundamental, it's just, but the premise works the same because they're nested dies. But if you were to create just a frame like that and put that straight onto a card, I think that'd be really super, wouldn't it? I mean, I've got a card blank that I'm using here. I'm making a 5x7 card. But even just that in itself, you know, perhaps a little bit more, you know, I'm just sort of thinking out loud. But the colours look really super, don't they? Or if you do that, and then you could put a die cut of a flower or something in there. I haven't got anything to actually show you. But you can use this as a frame. Let me just sort of put this together. This is not something that I actually sort of anticipated, but imagine any of your floral dies. You can just create a frame like that. It doesn't have to be for a rainbow. I mean, that is just, you know, as simplistic as it can possibly be. I'm just reaching for things that I've got on hand, actually, just to show you. But just to give you an idea, why don't you just, you know, you can just create a frame like that. I think that even that is lovely in itself, particularly with different colours. Be a nice way to do a men's card as well, wouldn't it? You can do it in black and whites, you can do it in graduations of grey or blues, greens. Yeah, that's actually a really nice idea. And it's often when you play like this with one idea in your head, the other things sort of come to light. And that's, I think, you know, you've had a really good session when you've perhaps gone off course. You've come out with, well, you've sat down with one idea, but you've actually created one or two other things that you hadn't initially thought of. Yeah, but I mean, you can use that idea and use as many arches or as many of these different colours as you like. Hopefully you can see the way that those colours are really coming together. I actually really like this idea. It's really nice and bright, so cheerful, and it's super grey outside. And actually, do you know what? Since I've lived in Ireland, I've been here 15 years, I think, and I've never seen as many rainbows anywhere else as I have done living here. Now, obviously, living in Ireland, it's known as the Emerald Isle, so that is only achieved in one way and the amount of rain that we get, but we do get a fair bit of sun. And obviously the rain and the sun mixed together, we do get some stunning rainbows. We absolutely do. And being in the fields, I'm surrounded by fields, so quite often I can see the full rainbow. Haven't found the pot of gold yet. I'll let you know when I do. Okay, so you can see now that's come together. Now, I say I'm doing this completely flat, but there, you know, we can see there, and I've actually nested these arches, but you could create the rainbow this way and create some dimension to that. I've got exactly the same colours going on here. Obviously, I would have to put the ink at the bottom there, but that would give you another stunning frame. Actually, you could even add a flower or something into the center of that, or a sentiment again. Lots of different ideas. You don't always need an image, i.e. a flower or a leaf or something like that. You know, just create yourself sort of geometric frames. I think Paula has done some demos with the fundamentals as well, where she just created patterns. Just have a play. Die cut them from actually different coloured paper. You don't always have to ink the cardstock either. So yeah, there's lots and lots of different things you can do. Now I've got to this stage, and to actually make this more of a rainbow feel, I'm actually going to cut off and trim this to the smallest of the die cuts there. So Lisa's trimmer, also this came in the post with the inks as well, so I had a lovely post day, and it's it's actually really tactile, and it's so trim and sort of sleek. It's lovely. One thing that did get me, it took me a couple of minutes to actually open the blade, because you can see here it's actually locked. What you need to do, this is sort of almost spring loaded here. You need to pull this out just slightly and then up, because you'll see here there's just a tiny little tab that fits into let me just put that on push, that fits into the hole there, and that just locks that blade. It just locks that away. So it took me, I don't know why, I must have missed it on Lisa's lives when she showed us and whatever, but yeah, it took me a couple of minutes. So if I can sort of pass that on to you as well, and you can bear that in mind when you get yours, then you won't be as stumped either. So what I'm just going to do is trim down through that, and what we've actually done, we've created that rainbow layer. Now again, if you were doing this in this way, and again, if you had die cut this from coloured cardstock, or you've actually inked up properly, there's nothing stopping you for putting this onto a card and then adding, let's put it onto a card blank. Again, I'm just giving you different ideas to do. And this is actually going onto a grey background at the moment. I will put it on white in a second. You could actually, and I'm using one of the Tatty Words sentiments, you can just separate that and even just nestle your sentiment in the centre there, and just, you know, create that break. Again, I think a card would work really nicely like that as well. It doesn't have to be, or, you know, it can just be super simple. Love the sound of a good blade. Yeah, even, oh, it really is. It's a very satisfying cut, I must admit. So hopefully, as I've gone along, there's lots of different ideas that I'm hopefully giving to you, just to sort of get your juices going, and perhaps, you know, as well as using the fundamentals purely as nesting dies for your frames, you know, they are actually a really nice design tool in themselves. So we have our rainbow sitting on there, and you can see I've got a light on, so I don't know if it's actually bleaching out that colour a little bit. Let's see. I've turned it off. I don't necessarily think I needed it on, but there you go. You can actually see that sheen there. The colours actually look bolder as I'm looking at it. It's so difficult to get some of these colours to you directly on screen. Okay, so this is where I'm going. Now remember, I said I was using the garden greenery set, and I'm just using the grass at the bottom of this. So I've already die cut that out. Now what the die actually does, it die cuts the grass, and then depending on where you put the die on your cardstock, you can actually decide on how deep and how thick that grass is in itself. So you can see here where I'm going with that, and with the rainbow nestled behind and the grass in front, I think that looks quite cool. I may trim that down in a second. I just want to see how we go with this now. So this is now where I'm going to bring in the rest of the flowers. So I'll give you another little look at that before. So if I hold that there, you can perhaps, if that's of any use to you at all, this perhaps gives you a good starting point, then you can take a quick screenshot of that. Okay. And now I can bring in my flowers and start seeing how I can start building the rest of this card. I say it's a really fun, it's totally different to the type of card that I usually make. It really is. So I'm going to use these stems with the straight stems, I think. This is where I need some tweezers. And let's see where I'm going with this. The flowers on here. Let's see how that goes. Or do I tuck them behind the grass like so? Let me see. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. What do I do? What do I do? Probably tuck them behind the grass, do you think? Yeah, I think maybe I should. And I think what I'm going to do, well, this is where I'm, okay, bring in some ink. Yellow, pink, and I'll bring in the yellow, pink and the blue. So I think what I might do, just highlight the flowers a little bit with the metallic ink. So we've got the sunshine, which is the yellow, obviously. So I can just highlight these die cut flowers. I've already die cut them in a lovely pale yellow, but I can just highlight around the edge, which will then just give around the edge a little bit of luster as well. Or you could do the whole flower, again, entirely up to you. And then I can, yeah, I can see the ink giving the shine. So I've lost my ink, my glue. Here we are. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of glue and then the flower. And then I'm going to find a centre for the flower. So I'm going to put a little dab in the centre of the flower and pick up. Now the flower dies, I need a pickup tool, not that one. There we are. The flower dies, you can see the petals here, they actually give you everything for the flowers. So you can either have the flowers with the centres in, or we can have like the bud type flowers that we've got here. You know, there's lots of different ways that you can create that. So I'm going to put these to one side. So I'm going to actually layer these up to start with. Maybe I do all of the same. Oh no, let's see what I've got. And this is where I need to work a little bit quicker because I can be quite, well, I'm going to use a larger one as well, I think. I can be quite indecisive and I spend a lot of time talking to myself. So I think what I'm going to do, let's see what I've got available. Let's see. I quite like these flowers. Okay, yeah, I might do them in yellow actually. I'm going to do that and that, and then I'll go with this smaller one on there, I think. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Let's have a see. I would cut another darker row. Yes, you know what? I did think about that. And I have another die cut sitting there. A darker green would then show the flowers up better, wouldn't it? I couldn't actually find a darker green that I liked earlier. Okay, I'm going to put that like that. So bear with me. We will get this finished. I shan't go mad with the flowers today. So conscious that you are working and watching. Now I'm highlighting these flowers with the same colour ink. You could always use a different colour. Highlight the yellow die cut flowers with a pink edge or an orange edge. I think that would look lovely too. So I'm just layering these up. Let me have a think if I can get a darker green behind that. Okay, and I'm going to layer that onto there. I think the yellow flowers are going to look really nice against that. Oh, isn't that pretty? Ah, I like that. I do like that. I think I've got a delivery coming, which Hazel has let us know about. Right, what I'm going to do, I've got another piece of green card here. I'm going to die cut that grass again. I don't have a darker green, but I'm going to colour tint this, which I think would work really nicely as well. So, and I can show you how this grass actually works. So it's only got sort of one cut edge on this, and then the sort of the leading edge here. This, you could leave this to be as long as you want. So depending on the depth of the grass that you want to add. I had these two nice little pieces of green cardstock, which I thought I'd just use up. So I'm going to die cut this. Let's put this through. It just about fits through here. It just comes off the edge, so I just need to make sure that I catch. Let's put it through that way. There we go. I'll get that through. Let's move that to one side. Okay, so if I take that die out, let's take off the tape. Really fine die, and then we can just snip this out of what we've die cut there. So we can just snip that end there. Then we can snip that end there. You can see where the grass ends, and you could always extend this if you wanted this longer as well. There we are. So we have our second layer of grass. Let's take up the tiny little inserts. Right, then what I might do, let's pick up woodland moss, which is my go-to green. And as I've got my messy mat out, I'm going to do it with a brush as well. We can actually just gently, because that is quite delicate, but as long as you go with the direction of the grass blades there, be absolutely fine. And it's quicker than me finding a darker piece of cardstock. isn't it? So we can just colour tint that. So that's what I mean. It's these inks are very blendable, very spreadable, and very juicy, enough to create your own sort of colour palette. So like I was saying earlier on, if you wanted to create mats and layers with your metallic inks by blending the ink onto white cardstock, so you can customize the colours that you have. Again, you can do that with coloured cardstock and tint that to give exactly the same effect. So you may not have the right coloured cardstock in, you know, available to you, but as long as you've got some ink and you've got white, you can pretty much create yourself any coloured layer that you might want. So where are we? So we can lay that in there, so that's a bit darker, and then we can lay this green over the top. Okay, this is actually looking better. It looks a bit too dark on the camera there, and I shall glue this all together a little bit later, and I shall put the put it into the group for you, but you can see the effect of what I'm making. And then you can tuck as many or as few flowers in and around that rainbow as you like, and then you can add your sentiment of your choice on there as well. It'd be really nice if you're perhaps doing a child's birthday, you could put the age into the center of the rainbow as well. So I put that on there so you can see it. Again, it's a funny old day here. It's quite grey, so it's a little bit dark, but hopefully when I take a photo of this a little bit later on, you'll see just how all the colours work together, and I will glue it all together as well. But I've given you lots of ideas there. I won't go on for that much longer. Oh, hi Tina, how are you? I didn't see you pop in there. I'm just telling everybody about your rainbow card. I was looking at it earlier on. It's so pretty, it's so delicate, and you actually die cut the arches from different pastel coloured cardstock, so it looked super lovely. So this one is a little bit bolder than yours there. Typing and coughing really doesn't matter. Oh, Evelyn, have you got the coughing bug as well? There's so much of it going around. Oh yeah, Hazel actually hasn't made an appearance on the live for a little while, is she? She's been actually quite quiet. But yes, we've got had a delivery today. So I'll leave that with you there today. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that, and I gave you a lot more ideas, say, for the fundamentals, especially now that they are available individually, so you can go and buy your favourite ones to start off with, and I'm sure you'll be hooked. They're such useful shapes. That's it for me this week. There's only one live for me next week. I'm away next week, so I'll be back with you. It'll be 2 weeks today, actually. But there's lives the rest of the week. I think Catherine and Paola have swapped this week. So Paola will be on later this evening at 7 o'clock. And Catherine is on tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. And Lisa is back with her live on Friday at 6:30 as well. So enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. And I shall see you all again very soon.